you're going to find yourself getting passed by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on. So you're off in a very precarious situation, but he often finds himself in these places. Doesn't qualify as well as he races.
Up front, they are getting with Lee Aberdeen and Luca Varani not very far apart at all here. But I just want to see how Alistair Haight deals with Marcello Kessler coming around the old hairpin.
And I would say it's not the best decision they've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately or something. What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the loud pedal, and unfortunately he's dropped him all the way down the order. But Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Oh, that might go as a wall there, sir. And definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well.
Difficult, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third.
Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is Pike's pushed more and forward up ahead. He's got out of line. It's now Pike could have a go. Well, don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's just like trouble. He's touched on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Moving on to the back end of Bill Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's a lot of fun. Yeah.
It's all about the entertainment. So I hope
everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is been enjoying himself watching the Burger King machines off into the grass a little bit there as they're really bunching up now.
Good evening, ladies and gents. Hello and welcome to another round of Premier Endurance League's GT4 Championship. Tonight we'll be coming to you from Japan in a little-known Japan circuit. Doesn't get enough coverage as it used to, JP. It's an interesting one. Of course, Scotty Rankin and Jimmy Parfit on the call once again, JP. But this is a beautiful track. It really, really is. key factor, it has an oval, so it's already got my love.
It has, but I will tell you now, in real life, Scotty, that oval is decimated. There's not, there's nothing left on the oval for them to even go on. However, you can still drive it on iRacing if you want to. It is quite an experience, I will say that one. But yeah, I think this should be a good one. A bit light on the field today, but we know there's some people, Jimmy Middleton, have got PC issues and stuff. So yeah, it should be fun though, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be a nice, tight and tricky one. We're using the GP layout here tonight. And GT4 cars, it's going to be a little bit difficult to get the overtakes done. There's a couple of spots where crisscross, I think this track really suits a crisscross style move in a lot of locations, because if you get drive in, there's a lot of double apex corners. The complex down at turn 1, turn 2 is really, really difficult to arc it a long way back. So, you know, you're going to be either sacrificing your entry speed or your exit speed somewhere. So we should see a little bit of overtaking. GT4 is going to wiggle around a little bit as well. Slower lap time, but all of this is a lead up towards the next round and the GT3s as well. That'll be fun for sure.
Yeah, GT3's round here is going to be very, very interesting, to be honest. But the GT4 has less power, should be able to manage the circuit well. Not, you know, it's not tough. There's 14 corners for these to contend with. But, as you say, overtakes are going to be a different situation, and I think that's going to be the issue. So, yeah, we'll have to see how it goes here, I think.
I think one of the key aspects that we've talked about thus far, because it's come up a few times this season as well, is that fuel strategy now. So obviously got to make it to the end. If you can eliminate a pit stop, you're in a very, very good position. I was talking to Race Control earlier as well. They said, you know, there's a lot of runoff room here. There's a lot of opportunity for us to get cars extracted and not potentially throw a safety car. So I would put the safety car chance and possibility way, way down here tonight, JP. I think that'll influence people. I know people would certainly like to know the safety car chance is a little bit lower.
Yeah, I don't think there's much chance of it here. They can clear the circuit adequately beforehand. So I don't really feel there's going to be a need for one, unless all of a sudden we have like a 10-car pile-up or something ridiculous like that. But I think at the end of the day, I think they can well clear it. There's plenty of runoffs. There's no need for a safety car if they're not going to cause a major drama. And honestly, unless there's 5 or 6, 7 cars involved, I wouldn't worry too much.
Yeah, well, that was qualifying. I believe you were seeing, ladies and gents, just finishing up at the tail end there, which means our starting grid's now been run and locked in. It's the opportunity, if you haven't taken a toilet break, to go and get that one out of the way. Let's put in the back of your mind what's happened a couple times. We're going to see the safety car trundle down to the exit pit lane. It's about making sure that safety car, if required, can do laps safely. It is difficult. It's a Toyota 86. It's a little bit more difficult, and then you've got to try and run away from the field where things not got a whole bunch of horses behind it. Yeah, it's been an interesting. What have you been up to yourself, JP, lately? Of late, anything new?
No, not really, mate. I've just been working and sorting out leagues and stuff. You know, we've got European NASCAR league starting next week. We've got lots of other stuff going on within JPB as well, so it's just mainly been that. But obviously today's a bit of a busy one for us, as we've got about 6 broadcasts going out across the whole day. So yeah, we go from this one to another one to another one to another one, so it's a fairly busy day today. But generally I've been alright, Scotty. What about yourself?
I came back from Winton Road Motor Raceway yesterday. I've been making an effort to try and go and visit a few more of the Australian circuits. Now I've got a little bit more time, and I've got people that are going to them. Went and watched some production car racing. Went and watched improved production cars, which are basically production cars just with a huge diffuser and front splitter and a big old wing attached to the rear end, a little bit more horsepower. A whole bunch of different bits and pieces, including Formula Ford, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I happened to be standing in the pit lane. The production car race was just sort of getting underway as Formula. They call it Formula Open, and I forget what the other class was. A Formula C, I think it might have been. It's just a mix of different Formula cars throughout the years. So there was an older style Lotus that was modified to be more like an Formula 3. But ended up getting to get down and dirty and have a look at the innards of a Formula 3 from 2004, the Renault variety, that was very, very cool to stick my head in and chat to the driver or chat to a few people down the pit lane. So yeah, racing things, just a different kind of racing.
Yeah, very nice, dear sir. Very nice. As we can see, Scotty Barton riding the Print Racers sponsored GR86 here, doing a stellar job. Will be the safety car for today. So no lights on top, obviously, being a Toyota GR86, not going to have safety car lights on there, so it's going to be an interesting one. But yeah, the Print Racers GR86 sponsored safety car doing rounds here, just making sure he can do a lap safely there. I'm sure he can at the hands of Scotty Barton. Absolutely amazing from that one. Twin Ring itself though, I think it's going to be very interesting for some of these guys, especially round from when you come from 11, 12, 13, 14. Overtaking is going to be difficult, but if you set them up through that little bit of a section, you can get them down into turn one. You've just got to be mindful of how your exit goes. I think that's going to be the thing. They've got to get out of 12, 13 and 14, Scotty, to be able to get the run down into turn one.
Yeah, it's not easy as well. You know, 11 long braking zone, cut back all the way to the right hand side, use as much of the road on the right as you possibly can. That's the bridge, I believe, going to be at the moment. No, it's the other end of the circuit, the other bridge. So, yeah, so 11 cut back, get to the right hand side as hard as you can. 12 is about staying wide. You actually don't want to hit the apex at 12. You do that, you're not going to carry enough speed into 13, and you'll be too tight and the lines are wrong. So there's a lot of different approaches to the corners. It's going to require different levels of balance as well. So either way, it is a very, very tricky and technical track, I would say. It asks a lot of you and a lot of different ways of driving the car. I had a report handed to me earlier in the day, by the way, and it was probably by our favourite guy to look at his car from a broadcast, because he always has a message written on the back of it for you, JP.
I know.
But I got a little bit of a report handed to me about Ricky Provenzali's driving. Would you believe it?
Okay.
And as it so looks, I have footage that's been handed to me that shows that Ricky does not know which way the track goes at Bathurst.
How?
He's driving backwards across the track at Bathurst. It's interesting. Bizarre.
How does he not know that? Like, he's an Australian, right? He's not a pretend Australian or anything, you know what I mean? He is a full-blown Aussie, and he must know what Bathurst goes, which way he goes there. That wouldn't have happened to have been on a night where Ricky was somewhat being overzealous, should we say, at certain points, was it?
I don't happen to know if that was included in it, but all I know is that he was involved in an incident, and he drove the back way across the track and collected Owen Coleman, so he had a very happy Owen Coleman to deal with after that. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the Premier Endurance League starting grid for round number 4 from Twin Rim Motegi. One more round to come after tonight's racing action, and it will be Lee Vandenberg. We're going to see a new driver take pole position. We're going to see a new manufacturer take pole position. It's a McLaren that sits atop pile. Off alongside of him is going to be the Fart Team Racing Owen Coleman, as usual, as expected. Rain Campbell and Daniel Magri, enjoying Daniel Magri's speed that he's been showing in these GT4 machines of late. Adam Jepson and Ben Jeffrey going to be off row number 3. Ricky Provenzali, we're just talking about him. Well, Twin Rim Motegi's not Bathurst. He'll start off row number 4 alongside of Mark Foster. Martin Hallinan and Andrew Dutch. Dutchy wouldn't be happy with that qualifying effort, not up to his usual standards. Stefan Mellis and Eli Donaldson going to round out your top 12. 13th and 14th, Simon Smith and Matt Pakia. In behind them will be Robert Edwards and Ronald Long, and that will round out our starting grid. Only 16 for the hour duration here tonight, JP, but yeah, you would think an Aussie on Anzac Day weekend racing in an endurance event around the mountain would know which way the bloody track goes.
You would do, yeah. I've just had confirmation. He was looking for temps in all the wrong places, said Jimmy. 0 alcohol induction, apparently. Just a lack of talent. Okay, well, we'll take that.
Well, I'm looking forward to the messages Ricky's going to send me after the last couple days. That's going to be interesting.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what he says. So I think, you know, let's just keep it, you know, between us. Nobody saw it anyway. Don't worry, Scotty.
Well, ladies and gents, we are just moments away. We are right about to go racing for 1 hour worth of duration here from Twin Rim Motegi. It's not hard on the throttle. 1 laps off It's about rotating the car nicely and rotating the rear wheels safely off the start. Gets a great jump. He's going to be chased down by Coleman. Daniel Magri managed to scrap a spot on the get-go, and Rain Campbell's got a lot of opportunity here tonight. The leading of the Porsches slots back into 4th position, but it's going to be 2 Mercedes that go to try and chase down Lee Vandenberg, and Vandenberg got a huge jump out of that. The biggest problem they're now going to start to face is that dirty air. They've got to settle in, got to let the tyres come into it. Challenging down the inside was Ben Jeffrey trying to have a go at Rain Campbell. Campbell settles it in. Provenzali was a little bit wide there down at turn 3. Finally manages to get to square that one up, so he's going backwards. Foster's had a reasonable getaway as well. And all looks safe and secure for the halfway point of lap 1.
Yeah, they do. They've had a great start. You can see the top 2 have not cleared or made any positions behind that. Magri's moved up 1 ahead of Campbell. Jeffrey's up 1. Foster's 1. Donaldson's up 3. So, you know, great moves from Eli Donaldson there. No real dramas to report for anybody else. Adam Jepson is sitting in behind Ben Jeffrey at the moment as well. So this could be an interesting one as the Bluebell Racing Team, 1 in the Porsche, 1 in the Aston Martin, see how they get on. But everybody got away cleanly. We start the hour off now. Let's see what's going to happen as we come from 10 down to 11.
I'm really interested. Remember, Fozzie was having a lot of problems with the tyres in that McLaren and keeping them underneath him in that car. So Lee Vandenberg's got a opportunity here tonight to prove us wrong, to prove us we were thinking the wrong way about the McLaren in terms of its tyre longevity. Of course, the Merc continuing to be the favoured car in the series. Critical start for Andrew Dutch as well, not getting the qualifying right. Hasn't managed to make any positions on that opening lap, so he's got some work to do. The talking point in the early stanza is, you know, getting up close, getting the move done. For now, lap 1 indoors. Vandenberg from Coleman, Magri got it into P3, and Rain Campbell's had some issues with that car. He's starting to lose off the rear end of Dan Magri as they start to complete lap 1, and Dieter's already lost the draft, so he's going to do some work in that Porsche.
Yeah, he definitely has. The interesting thing is you can see just how tough at times it is to try and overtake here. Provenzali slotted back in behind Foz there. Donaldson closing right up behind him. It looks like there's been a Simon Smith has unfortunately spun out the back in that number 16 machine. Provenzali, he's tightening it up, but he's really jeopardizing his exit. He's tightening up the entry to hold and defend that inside line there, Scotty, but he's not making the exit speed. And unfortunately for him, he's got the others closing right in behind him. Bit of contact behind as well. Andrew Dutch trying to come through. Martin Hallen and Stefan Mellis is sat there waiting as well. Stefan's had a great week in the other GT4 series and has been doing a great job locking up some podiums for him. So I'll be interested to see how far up the grid and order Stefan Mellis can get at this moment in time as well. But Donaldson trying to hold on to Provenzali trying to hold on to Foster, and at the moment none of them are really going anywhere. As Ricky, this is where he did it. You can see he tightens it up. He just can't quite get the speed off. It's like the BMW just hasn't quite got that torquey grunt that it needs to get it past him on the inside.
He's trying to show that nose to Fozzie once again. Fozzie just tracks you around the outside. And Porsche got supreme mid-corner speed. That's the real aspects of the Porsche, and once again we're going to keep an eye on this one because this is a nice braking zone. The BMW doesn't perform amazingly on the brakes, does get to the inside once again. It's Ricky, still not quite got the pass completed on the exit of the corner. They're still quite about alongside of each other, hasn't got the jump up. They're going to go sideways on the last couple of corners, and Fozzie finally yields. So Provenzali comes away with one spot finally, but that's created a huge cork in the bottle.
But
and starting to back everyone else up as well.
Yeah, but did you see how long it took? That's like 2 laps he's had to fight to get Foz where he wanted him to be. Donaldson almost was sent down by Dutch there. Dutchy almost tried to send it right in him. Didn't quite get it right up to behind him to be able to get it through. But you can see how difficult it is. It took Provenzali 2 laps to try and clear Foz. Dutch is now trying to follow it through as well. Can't make it through. Martin Hallinan's tucked in behind there as well. He's not able to make it through. So we say about overtaking here, it's just being proven that the overtaking is very, very difficult indeed for these guys to try and make it.
Well, I think the big thing they've got to do right now is work their way into things. So let the tyres come in a little bit. Don't over-push them, otherwise you are going to suffer towards the tail end of the race. Certainly going to be an aspect of it, because there are some fast corners here, flowing corners. The second part of it is, instead of just going for the move at the moment, I would like to see Dutch maybe just reading his opposition just a little bit, okay? He's a little bit weaker here. I've got to be there and thereabouts the next lap. But if he keeps going for it, he's not... The problem I have with it, he's never been in a position to really slam that door shut. He's sort of halfway there, not really reading the race, and just trying to be an opportunist, I think, at the moment.
Look how the thing is, we talk about this every single time. Top left-hand corner tells us how long's left. There's 54 minutes. He's got pit stops to make jumps in. He's got overtakes to set up, and he can take his time doing them. He's in no rush, and he really doesn't think that he should be in a rush either, even in his own head, because at the end of the day, the gap to the front is not very far away. It's like 9 seconds up the road. That's one mistake. We've already seen Simon Joel Smith make a mistake. You know, people make mistakes, and there's an opportunity here for Dutchy to really settle in now and show us what he can do, because we're used to seeing him up towards the other end of the grid, up towards the front. But how good is he at overtaking? You know, it's one of them things that we witness in Formula One. You know, you stick Max in at the front in a Red Bull, he's a machine. Stick him at the back in a Haas, can he still provide the same racing? Well, Dutchy's now got an opportunity to prove that he isn't a one-trick pony and he can only do it from the front.
It'll be interesting to have a look at, and I think we learned that about Owen Coleman last time out at Zandvoort, and the GT3s had to come through the field in changeable conditions. I'll tell you what, Magri's really taking it to him up front, by the way. That's what we're looking, but Foz is the look at this point. We're currently seeing Sir Helen will be the next guy out to have a crack, and he's actually starting to be backed up a little bit here. No one's been able to go with Vandenberger at the moment. And that means that Coleman is really getting pressured, and he's not setting himself. Have a look at Magri. Covers a lot of ground in the middle of turn number... number 8, so they come down to 9, yeah. So Magri's supreme through the faster sections, but it looks like Coleman might have a little bit better drive off the slower corners, a little bit better grip there, but that seems to be where Magri's making the ground. He was so good at 8, so good at 8.
I think the thing is as well, if you look at the way the circuit is, it's apart from here between 10 and 11 where you're actually opening up the throttle and giving it a little bit of a bean in it, and you know, really showing its pace. They're topping north of 135, 130 mile an hour. Every other section after that is you know, it's very stop-starty. It's very like, I'm not quite there, I've got to wait. They can get on the gas a little bit down, going from 14 down into 1. So again, they've got to work out where they're going to make these overtakes, because other than that, these areas, they're not even in top speed. So even there, it's very stop-starty. It's very on, off, on, off, on, off. And he's got to set him up.
Run.
Yeah, he's got to set him up properly. And now would be the opportunity.
Well, he's got a good run off of turn 1, turn 2, and now for Dan Magri, we'll get to the inside of Owen Coleman. Going to force Coleman to go the long way around. It's tight on the inside. It's not all that wide of a racetrack, and Dan Magri's got it done. It took 2 corners worth right there, but again, that was what I was talking about. Set him up. Coleman might be swallowed up by the chasing pack in behind him, because now he's under threat from Rain Campbell, who sensed an opportunity as well. So, Coleman, not on his best here tonight.
No, but again, it took Magri 2 laps to set him up. It seems to be the thing. It's going to take you a couple of laps to set somebody up where you want them, put them under enough pressure, and then that way they'll make a mistake. But you've got to think, you can't keep waiting 2 laps. There's got to be a moment where you're just going to have to put the pedal down and just send it on somebody, because if you're waiting 2 laps, that 50 minutes where we said about being patient, Scotty, will go out the window, because it will just tick down and tick down and tick down. You know, we've had 10 minutes already. Dutchy's only up 1 place at the moment. Can't clear Donaldson, who's got some beef and grunt under in the Aston Martin. So it's got to be a movement, but movement in a way that's got to be quite quick. And you can see behind Mellis here with Foz. Foz is in there as well. Martin Hallinan's in there. Ronald Long's in there. Bakir's in there. Rob Edwards is in there. So there's a whole lot of battles going on all the way through at the moment. And this back end are really providing quite some action.
Yeah, he's going to try and get the power down now. Martin Hallinan Look how quick he is in a straight line, though. He made a lot of ground there in the straight. Now Mellis is going to go to the inside as well. And he will get the job done. So 2 positions lost on lap 5 for Mark Foster. And then Hallinan was a little bit deep at 12, and Mellis nearly ended up in the back of him as well. Now it's an opportunity to step away. What is going on with Foz? He just does not look in a rhythm whatsoever at the moment.
But then that's the purpose of the track. The track has got to be an ebb and flow rhythm circuit, and he isn't. He's off the line. He's leaving the door wide open. He's going to get burgled by everybody at this rate. You know, he's been bullied out at the moment. His shoes are over the telephone lines because they've nicked them. He ain't got no lunch money left either because they're stealing that as well. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4. And poor old Foz has lost 4 places, and we've only got half a lap, and all because he got offline and he couldn't get back on. They just wouldn't allow him to get back on. Mellis come from so far away. I thought he'd come by aeroplane, let alone the postal service. He'd come from that far back, and he sent it through as well, and Foz was stuck there. It was like, yeah, he just got hung out to dry.
The only thing from Stefan Mellis is, I mean, if he's come from that far back, I hope he's paid for postage. Otherwise, that parcel ain't getting delivered. Anyway, he's managed to get that one delivered currently. So whether or not they chase him up for postage post-rate, we'll have to see. Dutch is still not able to get closer. And the key for Dutch is he's not able to get close enough to Donaldson. If you can get close enough to Donaldson, the move would probably be done. Now he's got to try and settle in and save some tyre. Back up in front, though. And Coleman is still corking the model up here, which is not a common thing to be said. And Magri's doing some work here. He's actually
Dutchy's got Donaldson.
Job finally done.
Yeah, Dutchy's finally got Donaldson again. That was the same thing we've been talking about. It's taken a couple of laps. Donaldson goes in a little bit deep. Dutch says, well, where you going, son? I'm not going to follow you there. And I'm going to have the inside and say thank you very much. So at the end of the day, he's got the job done, which is what he wanted to do. Foz at the moment has just lost another one. So he's gone back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places and literally only at a lap, and that's all because he just lost the line, got flustered, couldn't get back on it, couldn't get back in the rhythm, and now he's down 5 places. 7 from where he started, I'd like to point out.
Does somebody want to reach on over there and tell him to turn the turbo on? I feel like he's flipped it off. It looks like it.
Yeah, he's so left at the moment. He just can't get the rhythm of the circuit. And this is one of the things that we've talked about. When you're on a stop-start circuit constantly like this one is, you've got to find that rhythm. You've got to find the rhythm to make sure that you can do well at this circuit. And unfortunately for Foz, he ain't got it. It's like he's got 2 left feet on a steering wheel.
Tell you what though, Magri's starting to take a little bit of time out. His lap speed's recovered. So last time by, race leader Liam Vandenberg ran a 1:59.404 and Magri 3:13. So 0.09 of a second's not a huge deal, but it's enough that if he keeps that up for the duration of the race, he will just about get there. And he's starting to push away from Coleman a little bit, although Coleman actually finally responded right about lap.
Oh!
And Ricky to the inside trying to get the job done.
But as the BMW got it, yeah, he ain't got the grunt again. He's got to rely on late braking going in here. He's either going to run the outside round 10 and hopefully that, you know, he's allowed to, because Jepson can do that, which is let the car open up and just cut his nose off. But Ricky's got to try and go again. Ricky's on a bit of a mission there. You see Dutch having a little bit of a blink, but Ricky's just got to be aware not to go and do anything crazy.
He'd get deep down the inside, finally slams that door closed, job done. Took him a lot longer than he would have liked, for sure.
Oh, mate, it's going to take anybody. It seems to be the norm, doesn't it, at the moment, where it takes people a lot longer to get any overtake done because it's just tough to get the overtake done. That's the thing. It's been 2 laps, it's been 2 laps, it's been 2 laps, and 2 laps seems to be, if you can put somebody under pressure, you should be able to get the job done. Dutch has cleared Donaldson as well. We saw Donaldson make his own mistake to allow that to go through. Rain Campbell can't get anywhere with Owen Coleman, but I can tell you what he's going to have to go with next is Ben Jeffries coming out behind him on a rate of knots as well. 1:59.16 for Jeffrey, 1:59.21 for Campbell. So Campbell's got to be careful. 10th at a time, but that's all it takes.
Tell you what, Magri and Coleman are starting to find a lick of speed too. Both of them just went 0.004 of a second difference in their lap time. 0.85 for Magri, sorry, 159.085 for Magri, 159.081 for Coleman. So, and the last lap for Lee Vandenberg was 59.252. So they're both starting to find just a lick of speed, and it is coming back out of them. So we'll keep half an eye on that one. Like you said, this battle between Jeffrey and Campbell as we settle into this middle section of the race. I'm curious to see if Provenzali can hang on to this spot in the background, and has managed to do so the lap thus far. So, meantime, be the two Porsches going at each other. That'll be the two cars, I think, next to battle out there.
Yeah, I think so. You're right. Provenzali, I don't think should have any issues. I think once he starts getting that clearing and going down again, he should be able to make moves forward. But you can see from the Ben Jeffrey, Rain Campbell situation, the lap times, Campbell's been slower over a 3, 4, 5 and 7. So it just goes to show how much time Jeffrey has pulled in on Campbell, and now he's just got to make sure he's doing the same thing again over and over and over and over again, because if he doesn't, well, then he's going to come into the hands of Provenzali behind, and we've seen how Ricky is and how aggressive Ricky seems to be today. You don't really want to be in the mix with that one.
Yeah, well, opportunity's now back in Ricky's court, isn't it? This is going to be the metric we measure everyone by. 58.708. Well, he gets clear, he gets an opportunity, he sets the fastest lap of the race. I tell you what, he's taken at least 3/10 out of everyone on the field. He took 3/10 out of Vandenberg. That was Vandenberg's the fastest lap of the race, by the way, on the most recent lap, 59.0. Everyone else in the 59.3s or 59.1s, basically. So he's taken a huge chunk of time out of Ben Jeffrey. He took 0.5 of a second out of Ben Jeffrey.
Yep. Look at over the last, 4 laps. He's got 7, 1.7, 2.1. He loses 8, so puts him down at 1.5. He gains another half. He's gained 2 seconds out of Jeffrey in front over the last 5 laps. There's going to be a lot more laps. So if Ricky can carry on this pace and he doesn't lose the fact that his tyres could end up going off, you know, there's no saying that he isn't going to clear Jeffrey. He's not going to clear Campbell, and he might even be able to get up as far as Coleman. Can he get Magri? Well, maybe a little bit optimistic, but there's nothing saying that if he can't keep this pace up, he's going to be in the top 5, top 3 easily, because he is looking quick in that BMW.
I'll give you a number, by the way. Ricky Provenzano in that last lap beat his qualifying time by 0.7 of a second. 0.7 out of his qualifying time with a load of fuel on board in the car. Well, we are coming in on the first third of the race being out of the way, and that will pretty much very quickly tell us if we're going to have a two-stopper on our hands, because if you're going to go the two-stopper, you probably want to get out of the draft. I get the feeling that that good old Fozzie is actually going for a fuel save route, and that might have been why he was extremely slow. The problem is he's now 24 seconds off the lead of the race, and he'll gain a couple spots, but he's not going to get back to the leaders. He's just about going to lose a pit stop. What's going on here then?
Donaldson cleared Dutch. I'm wondering if Dutch did the same thing Donaldson did. He did. He ran in deep, left the door open. Donaldson said, "Thank you very much, I'll have some of that, if you're going to do the same thing I'm going to do." And Andrew Dutch just cannot get away from Eli Donaldson at all, and is now down in 9th. Whoa, in the background, Rob Edwards. Oh, you know what that is? All day. Carrying the throttle far too long, onto the curb, back end goes round. Does he keep it out of the barrier? Yes.
So, yeah.
So there we go. But yeah, unfortunately that was just holding onto the throttle far too long on the corner that the Mercedes was never going to make it round while you were on the throttle.
Then Magri lost a little bit of time to Vandenberg. Again, it seems to be stabilizing in about that 3 seconds. So we got down to about 2.5 seconds, and then all of a sudden Vandenberg sort of started coming back, taking more time back out of him. So Lee's been around for a very, very long time in terms of sim racing. I remember in the very, very earliest days of Kobe when I first jumped on, it was probably one of the better drivers out and around in GT stuff. So it's good to see him back and competing yet again. Always a lovely sight for me. As for Rain Campbell, he's got an interesting case on his hands. Has managed to rein up on the rear bumper of Owen Coleman. which that always puts you in good stead for a strong result. And now he will look forward and think, I've got an opportunity here if I can just be close enough, save enough fuel.
Oh, Ricky in the background, coming around that corner like he's Tokyo drifting a BMW through a car parking lot. He was there, absolutely flying through there as well, as you can see with Owen Coleman and Rain Campbell with Ben Jeffrey, but he's coming. I almost feel like I need your music about now, you know, and because Ricky's on a mission. He's got the gap down from about 2 seconds down to about 0.5 at the moment, 1.5, and he is absolutely flying. Again, he's pulled out 4 tenths, nearly 6 tenths over the last 2 laps of Jeffrey. So there's no fuel saving strategy going on with Ricky in this car at the moment. I think it's just a full flat to the ground, and he's making it work at the moment, Scott. He really is making it work.
Well, Jeffrey's actually taken it. Jeffrey's really strong in the first couple of sectors, so that'll be turn 1, turn 2, all the way through to probably down about turn 5 underneath the bridge for the first time. Really, really strong. Then he struggles in through this twisty bit that they're in at the moment. So that's sort of where he's. Sorry, my apologies. Rain Campbell, Ben Jeffrey's strong in sector 1, sector 2, which is what I said before, and then Rain's stronger in the twisty bits. So I wonder whether or not Rain's just got a car that rotates really, really nicely on power, or potentially some fuel saving gains going on there. But then Rain is supremely quick again in the final sectors, making a ton of time on Owen Coleman coming to the end of the lap, and there's an opportunity potentially. Look at them, the whole pack is coming back together again. Yeah,
slowly but surely. Slow and steady wins the race. That was a conversation I had on a broadcast the other day. But I think you've got to make a look at it now that you've got this group. This group are closing. Provençali's only 1.1, and he is bringing Jepson with him. You can see the sector times on the bottom. You can see Campbell is slow over 1.2. He's not quite got it, but he's a little bit quicker than Ricky in 4, but Jeffrey's still quicker across the lap. So they're ebbing and flowing all the way through here, and I think we're going to see some very interesting developments over the next probably 10-15 minutes, obviously with the pit stop situation as well, and Ricky again throwing that BMW around like it's a toy car.
By the way, new fastest lap of the race, Adam Jepson, and he only pipped Ricky's time previously by 0.03 of a second. Well, Ricky was right up against his previous fastest lap of the race as well, so those two, hammer and tong, absolutely going for it. Took nearly half a second out of Lee Vandenberg in the lead, 0.6 of a second out of Magri, and a huge chunk out of the pack ahead of him. So it's coming. We just got to wait. 2-3 laps. They'll be there, but we just got to wait. Just got to wait just a fraction.
Yeah, it makes you wonder where this pace is, isn't it, within the Provençali BMW. You can see them now as well. He's really got the bit between his teeth. Magri is literally like a champagne cork that won't come out. He is just holding them up. But why he's doing that, he's bringing the next 5 cars behind him closer and closer and closer. He's like almost defending for his life, but at the same time he's playing a tactical game by saying, right, well, if I back you up into him and you up into him, you're all going to end up coming together. And at the moment they are very quickly. Provençali's nearly got the gap down to under a second. We got Jepson coming with him. We got Magri, who's losing time on Vandenberg up front because he can't get away from the pack. There's a lot going to be happening over the next few laps. I can see it now. We got Jimmy Middleton in YouTube chat probably sitting there absolutely hating the fact that Ricky is absolutely flying at this moment in time.
Well, settling in now. I would keep an update as well with Andrew Dutch. Did manage to get stay ahead of Martin Hallinan. Has not yet found another way past Eli Donaldson. So he's still sitting there watching. And I can tell you, Dutch is short shifting. I was just watched the lights come up on his dash. He is short shifting. So he's absolutely in fuel save mode. Had an opportunity to push by Eli Donaldson, didn't work out. Now he's gone back into fuels conservation mode. Probably the best way to handle it. If you can't pass him on the track, do it in the pit lane. And now for Ricky Provençali, He's in that shot. I'm riding on board with him in his cockpit and having a look at it. There is a lot of wheel work going on there. That car is sliding around a lot.
Oh, I can guarantee it probably is, but he's trying so hard, and you know we love a tryer on this channel, and he is definitely trying. If he's providing the action, I am down all day. Ricky, you throw that car out wherever you want, son. Just don't put it in the gravel trap. Keep it on the grey stuff. Let's see how far you can get. Well, at the moment, he can see Magri, and Magri's in second, so yeah, I did say, is it a possibility?
You know what he's sitting there thinking at the moment? Gee, this racing stuff's better when there's no Jimmy Middleton in front of me.
Well, Jimmy's just put in YouTube chats amazing what happens when he goes the right way around the circuit. So, you know, I think you're probably saying Jimmy. Ricky might be sat there thinking that, but Jimmy's at home thinking that. So, yeah, it should be a nice, interesting little situation going on here. But Provenzali absolutely flying in that PM at this moment in time. You can see from second, third, fourth, fifth, then Ricky, then he's got Jepson behind him as about 1.2 at the moment, losing a bit of time over the last few laps. But yeah, I think he's absolutely flying. Can he get the next one? Well, oh man, he's working that wheel like an absolute trooper. There's nothing saying he's not, right? Let's be realistic about it. There's nothing saying he ain't gonna get. He can't even get that car up into second.
He's thinking about it. He showed the nose at turn 1, had to back out of it. Rotated the car really nicely through turn 2, and again the rear end dances around. Well, he's gonna pick up the Tokyo Drifter moniker. Any stretch of the imagination. Fills the rear view mirror now of Ben Jeffrey. That entire pack's come back to each other, and now they're all just stalling out. Someone's got to do something. Someone's got to try and break this pack up at any stretch of the imagination. They've all done a fair bit of fuel saving. They're all trying to play that game with each other. But the worst possible thing you can do when somebody's doing that is just psychologically get in their head. I'm going for this.
I don't, Ricky. I think I'm going to cut you off. I don't think Ricky's done any fuel saving whatsoever.
No, he hasn't. He hasn't.
He's just gone full beans right the way through. He's at one place. He's making gains like an absolute trooper. I don't think there's 1 ounce of remote fuel saving.
Oh, Rain and Jeffrey nearly come together at turn 8 as they cross back over. There was a hole there for half a second, and Ben Jeffrey decided that it wasn't a big enough of a hole to stick a Porsche Cayman through, and decided to back out of that one. But he's now got some enthusiasm coming from his Porsche, and when you're looking backwards at Rick Provenzali, who's been ranging up on you supremely quickly, that does kind of put some impetus on you to get a move done, doesn't it?
It does. The problem is as well for Ben Jeffrey is Provenzali's coming, and he is coming quickly, but over the last lap I think Jeffrey, well no, Ricky got him again with there as well, even though the gap seemed to have grown a little bit, but Ricky still got him on lap times and is still absolutely beating it at this moment in time. How many more positions can he gain in the pit stop? Is the pit stop Ricky's strongest aspect of his racing? Well, we're going to find out, because clearly fuel saving ain't it.
He was left in a position where he kind of couldn't save fuel. He kind of needed to go quite hard, so response has been made. He just can't get there. Just can't get close enough to get the job done. So now he's forced to sit and watch a little bit, wiggle the rear end of that BMW round, and Adam Jepson. There was somebody just went into the pit lane too.
Stefan Mellis dived in right on the 31-minute mark. He really needed another lap if he can. Simon Joel Smith's in the pit lane as well. Matt Bakir has been off the racetrack. I don't think he did anything too strenuous to that Mercedes, but he did just go off the side of the circuit as well, did old Matt, and that's just saying that. Ouch. All right, he went a little bit further than I expected him to be fair. Just snapped on him.
Yeah, as they all want to do. I mean, we saw that earlier.
Yeah, but that's a Mercedes. You slam the throttle, you know, you're going to go round. It's easy as that. You want to, the way we're looking at Mercedes at the moment is whether it's a GT3, whether it's a GT4, it needs to be Netflix and chilled. It can't be slammed. You know, you can't just force it to chuck it on the sofa and say, right, we're watching this film. You can't. Give it a wine, feed it some strawberries, Netflix and chill it, and then it will do what you want it to do. Start slamming it around, it ain't going to happen.
JP does his whining and dining with Netflix and chilling. Right, pit
where's
stop's
Ricky
coming.
going?
Vandenberg's in.
Oh, hold on.
And Dan Magri's gone in as well. And Ricky did not make the correct pit lane.
I don't even know what...
Has he got a penalty for that?
I don't know what pit lane he made, but that weren't it. What? What?
That's,
This is a new one.
That's a unique one.
Yeah, I've never quite seen this one. Ricky just gets it all wrong. He thinks the pit lane's there. But say about driving around the right way of the circuit and he doesn't even go... Oh, I've just picked him up and he goes and makes an absolute doo-doo of himself. Ricky. Oh. Well,
Good news,
there
we
we
were
go.
watching. We didn't miss a minute.
I know.
So,
I know.
Middleton's going to be happy.
Oh, he is already. Ricky loves a bit of speeding in the pit lane, a bit of DUI racing. I think he did it himself racing. You know what I mean? DIY racing on that one, because I'm not quite sure where Ricky was going, and I don't know, but I don't know. Anyway, Coleman's still out here now. Coleman's in front, Campbell's in second, Donaldson's in third. Vandenberg has been into the pits and is out in fourth. Magri's there, Jeffrey's there, Foster's there, Mellis is there, Hanlon's there. Provençali's still in the pits. He's clearly got a penalty because everybody else he came in with has got out in front of him. So all of that hard work that Ricky has just gone and done, he blew it in one go and is now sitting down in 14th when he was up the dizzy heights of 6th.
Yeah, you know what it'll be too? It'll be an unsafe pit lane entry.
Oh yeah.
He was outside the white lines on the pit lane entry, so...
I don't even know what pit lane entry he was going for, Scotty, but that definitely weren't it.
Well, I like your comment though. It was certainly a DIY project. It was a build your own pit lane entry.
Yeah. Everybody else got it right. Ricky come down here. Never mind. Poor old Ricky. Gee whiz. Never mind. Right, Coleman's in, Campbell's in. What's Donaldson going to do? He's done the same as Ricky.
Has he? Did he make the right lane?
No. He's just done the same thing. Watch as he comes around the corner. He goes to the right-hand side of the white line and goes up the wrong one.
Good news. I know that's a penalty.
Well, we do now because Ricky's proven it to us. So, yeah, Eli might have to sit there for a bit of time as well, which means all the work that he's done has just gone out the window in one foul swoop as well. So a couple of people maybe should have tried pit lane entries and exits on the practice session. But Vandenberg goes and retakes the lead. He's been out in front here. He's done an absolutely stellar job.
Oh, Campbell's got through. Campbell's jumped on Coleman in the pit lane.
Well, they're in... Well, that was very bizarre. They were literally...
Well, he jumped him in the pit lane.
Yeah, they come out, but if you have a look, they come out literally side by side, but then they were inside of each other. Here, Coleman got on the gas. Look, they're still kind of inside of each other, and then they come out the other side. It's a wizard moment going on there. But Campbell did make it back out in front. I'll tell you, the winner out the pit lane, Ben Jeffrey. Got himself up into third place at the moment, chasing down Magri. And so great job from Jeffrey, jumped Coleman, jumped Campbell. Obviously Jepson jumped Provençali, who we know has had a penalty. Donaldson's had his penalty and is now down the back end of the field as well. So unfortunately for them two, not a good day. It was going so well, mind you, but now it's just gone wrong.
I'm really curious to watch Ricky cut his way back through and see how far he gets back up. I would put money on he has to make an extra stop.
But
well,
to be fair, he was there for quite a while. He would have put full beans in that, wouldn't he? And then he had his penalty. So, to be honest, the penalty might have saved him. If he can get to one now with 25 minutes to go, and he's only been out the pit lane for 2 laps, that's a possibility. He's got a long way to go to get back up to where he was, mind you, though, Scotty. But, I'm just saying.
An interesting one. Because if they're 1 lap short, we've got ourselves another fuel race on our hands yet again for the umpteenth time this season. So the formula's working as it currently stands. Vandenberg's trying to, I think, disappear up the road, because if he's going to make another stop, he's got to make it. By the way, Ronald Long, I think, has just run wide and let Ricky through, and Beck here through as well. So 1 more spot for Ricky. And this battle front end, you can just see Coleman's just trying to get back onto the back end of that pack to just make sure he's still in the draft. 1 more spot for Provenzali. Next one 3 seconds down the road, but it'll be 2 for 1, because there will be Mark Foster down there as well. And guess what? Fozzie did make it on fuel. He did get an extra lap on fuel. So in terms of fuel strategy, has worked. He's sacrificed a lot of pace though.
Oh, yes, but the thing is, for me, is it's all right fuel saving, but has he done it effectively? And the problem is, at the moment, is Foz is 25 seconds back from any of these guys. He's all the way back. He's like 50 seconds away from the leader. You know, that's a big ask. And, you know, that's the thing. It's a big ask for him to now achieve that. If everybody goes in, they're only going to be going in for slight splash and dashes at the best of times. And are they going to be able to... Is Foz going to be able to have the pace enough to jump them?
Oh, Ricky's just had a huge moment.
He's off the side of the circuit. Yeah.
It looked like he bounced when he hit the curb. Something went on there.
You can't do that. You can't put one side on the grass on the inside of the curbing and then expect it to grip the same as the other side. It's not going to happen. If you watch his tyres on his, well, we're looking at it now, left side, he puts them on the grass there and then expects them to grip the same as the side that's on the black stuff, and it ain't going to happen. So unfortunately for Ricky, it's all gone a little bit Pete Tong.
He's getting a beating tonight, isn't he? Every mistake that happens, we're seeing it.
I think the problem is when you get a broadcast and you see like this standout almost performer, you then end up, when it goes completely the other way, it then goes, you see that as well, because you're sitting there thinking, what has he done now? Because he was doing so well, and because he was moving, he was one of the fastest men on the side of the circuit at one point. So you're always going to recognise that pace over these first 35 minutes. But then when it goes completely Pete Tong for them, you're going to see that as well, because of how well they were doing. And another man that I picked up and said was doing so well was Stefan Mellis, and unfortunately it looks like Stefan in that Bonsai racing machine may have also just had his own little moment. Around he goes.
Yep, rears come away from him there.
But yeah, now we got Magri and Coleman, Magri, Jeffrey and Coleman going to have a scrap.
And they're going to have a good old stash, because here comes Ben Jeffrey. I do wonder if Dan Magri's just holding back a fraction. Sorry, excuse me. If Magri's just holding back a fraction here and trying to back them up a little bit. Although that gap to Vandenberg's not really opening up. So I get the feeling that these guys have gone for we're chasing a little bit of track position, but at the same time, we can box you in here. We can go for the track position and then start fuel saving. So might be a little bit of that going on.
It'll be interesting, I think.
Be interesting seeing how long before Owen Coleman gets the elbows out, and if he does choose to get the elbows out. Because if all of a sudden he feels like he's being held up because they're going to go for the fuel save strategy and hold him up on the track at the same time, that will create something.
I think there's still a lot more racing to come. Even though they've got 20 minutes on the clock, I think there's still a lot more. Does Lee Vandenberg... Jimmy seems to think may need a second stop. The others didn't get to the 30-minute mark, I don't think. Well, they were round about the 30.5 mark there, Jimmy. So by the time they've stopped, got their pit stops, got their fuel on board, and so on and so forth, it's going to be very, very close. Obviously, the likes of Provenzali and Donaldson, who are battling away further down now for 13th and 14th after going in the pit lane into the wrong entry. You know, they've kind of blown their races, but they're battling away with Ronald Long down towards the back end of the field as well. We've got like a pack up front, then we've got everybody single racing, and then a pack right at the back. So yeah, still some great racing to come, I'm sure.
I think it's going to come down to, JP, do they get 30 or 31 laps? That will be the key. So if they get 30 laps in, everyone on the field is gold, doesn't need the extra fuel stop. If they get 31 laps in, well, you've got a bunch of guys who've already done a 16-lap stint, they're okay. And for Vandenberg, if he just backs his pace down a little bit, starts running 2-minute laps, they'll get there. They will only get the 30 laps in. But if he keeps the pace up, they're in trouble. And if you have a look at Magri behind him, Magri's doing 59 flats. So over 30 laps, that's only 30 seconds. You would still need the extra lap because, well, it'd be really, really tight. But if you're running 58s, I think if he's running 58s from here to the end of the race, I think they get the extra lap in. That's the difference. If he's running mid 58s, extra lap in. 59s, mid to high 59s, definitely not.
Depends what Vandenberg wants to do, doesn't he? He's got the option really to control whether or not they go one more, but he's also got to think of his own fuel. If he thinks he can get that extra lap, then he'll carry on doing the 58s, but he hit a 59 dead on the last one, so we'll keep an eye on what Vandenberg is going to do here, because I don't know if many of these could get that extra lap. I'd be very surprised, but never say never. Let's see what works out here.
Yeah, so it's a really, really interesting one, JP. And the reason I say it's interesting is because if these guys start fuel saving, the pace drops up, they don't get the extra lap, they don't need to save. But if they maintain the pace, then they need to save. So it's a catch-22, isn't it? Oh, it's beautiful. Perfect. Couldn't ask for more. And it's a quirk of the lap time being a tick under 2 minutes. If this lap time is massively under 2 minutes, you get the extra lap in. If the lap time was over 2 minutes, you wouldn't get the extra lap in. Therefore, it wouldn't be. It's 2 minute lap times are to hour long and half an hour long, hour long and 2 hour long races. That's the real key. Is it if it's bang on that marker?
Yeah. It will very much depend on what Vandenberg is going to do. He's got control. That's the problem. He's got control. Matt Bakira's unfortunately been off again. It looks like he's had a moment going through turn 1. Is he going to catch the curb in? Yes, he runs the curb in. And the Mercedes says, no, no, no. Nope. If you're going to put me on the curb, at least buy me dinner.
Okay, can we go on and watch right now with Lee Vandenberg, because he's coming up to the start finish line. So we need to watch where he is right now and have a look at this timer. So
17:30.
We're well short. So I don't think we're getting the extra laps. So from here, there is 9 laps to go, which is 30 laps, which means 15 lap stints with gold.
Well, hopefully. To be honest, though, I think if they throw in an extra an extra bit of drama with fuel and that as well, I'm not impartial to that towards the end of the race, Scotty. I've got to be honest.
So basically for everyone watching, what's going to happen is either you're going to see a whole bunch of cars fire into the pit lane on the last lap of the race, or no one fires into the pit lane. That is literally the only. So we're going to be going nuts on the last lap and you can tell it's coming because it's literally one lap difference, right? So interesting.
It will be. It'll be very exciting, but these guys at the front are the closest battle on your screen. Who is saving? Who is not saving? Who's short shifting? Who's clutching in?
I personally think we're only going to get the 9 laps in, which is 30 laps race distance, but you got to get to the end of that 30 lap. So what I would be doing right now is, as soon as I've recognized that, I'm making some overtakes in this pack.
But how?
Rain's not saving.
Have they recognized that? That's the problem.
He is. Well, that was a lift out there, wasn't it?
He's doing a bit of it at certain. Yeah, he's doing a bit of it, but he's not doing lots of it. I think for him. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot these drivers got to think about. He'd be now lifting here.
It's a little. It's only a fraction now. Yeah, it's not a full save now. So
No.
Yeah, interesting. Just interesting. Just keep that in the back of your mind. So, for both Rain and Owen, who know that they're definitely good on fuel, they need to press on, but they've got to try and get the job done. And the reason for that is if all of a sudden they've got extra fuel on board and everyone all of a sudden realizes it, well, you want at that point in time you want the track position before everyone stops saving. So you don't wait, you go for it.
But when?
Now, don't wait.
You don't think?
The longer you wait, and the reason, JP, is the longer you wait, the instant that everyone else realizes and the pace comes up, then it's too late. Whilst ever you've got them in the back of their mind going, oh, I've got to save fuel, I've got to save fuel, I've got to save fuel, they're more likely to let you go, and Owen Coleman's going to poke the nose out, gets to the inside, and back in yet again. Bailed out of that one, so interesting.
Yeah, Rain Campbell almost had to...
Gonzalez in.
Yeah, well, we knew that. Gee whiz, did we know that? If he hadn't come in for the second one, I would have been very, very surprised. But Rain Campbell almost ended up in the back end of them as well, so he's got to be a little bit more careful to make sure there isn't much contact or any contact really, because that's the last thing you want to do is spoil your race from race control turning around saying you've been a bit overzealous, especially this far in with only 15 minutes to go.
Yeah, I mean a safety car would put a nail in the coffin, wouldn't it? It wouldn't be the extra stop, so that would certainly solve things. So the thing is, from here, right now, there's 7 laps to go, and in terms of the time that's left to us, and we're not at the start-finish line yet, so it's definitely only going to be 7 laps. So you will not get the 31st now.
No. But I still think it could be fuel dependent at some points. I reckon.
Vandenberg's just driven a super quiet race. I'm impressed with this performance. Really, really quiet. Disappeared in the sunset and then just sat out at that. Because he was at 3 seconds or something in the first stint. Now it's out to 4.5 to 5 seconds. Has been sort of playing and tinkering around in that slot. Really quiet. Nothing scrappy. Very clean. Very accurate.
Well, he's done what he needs to do, hasn't he? Coleman's now just got to go up the inside of Jeffrey here as they go round turn 4. Jeffrey's going to have the inside if he can hold it for turn 5. Coleman's trying to go around the outside. I think fuel savings now got out the window. I think the penny has dropped and a lot of them are now just going to go for it. Coleman doesn't make it through out into 5. Jeffrey manages to hold on. That Porsche just got a little bit more grunt than that Mercedes behind.
I mean, he had the inside covered and it was very, very difficult to go around the outside. And the other problem is you go underneath the bridge, well, it's another right-hander on the outside again. So now Cohen's got to be decisive. Magri's starting to skip clear a little bit as these guys squabble. Dan Magri will be looking backwards and going, thank you, boys. I will absolutely take the opportunity here. And Jepson again. Jepson's ranged up on back of these guys. Still got the fastest lap of the race with the 58.5.
Yeah, nobody's hitting that now. The only one who's in the 58.8s at the moment. Well, there's actually Lee Vandenberg's in the 58s there. Jeffrey Coleman and Campbell hit 58s last time. 59s for Magri and 59s for Rain Campbell. So, yeah, very interesting developments. 11 minutes to go. How is it going to play out, do you think? And what is going to happen, Scott?
Well, I think we've talked about it. Overtaking is incredibly difficult.
Yep.
We've already seen a couple cracks. So the thing is, Owen Coleman's now made those moves, and you got to make it first time, because the second time, the other guy looks at you and goes, he's pushing. Okay, well, that means fuel saving's over. All right, it's time to put the hammer down. And the other thing is, if the guy you're racing was fuel saving, you fight for 2 laps, and then all of a sudden he looks down at his fuel and he goes, well, I'm short anyway. Okay, well, now he's definitely going to put the fuel down because he's going to have to pit. So... interesting one. Very, very tricky. Very tricky with how you approach this now.
Yeah, I think it's looking down at that little fuel gauge that turns around and says you've got 5 laps to go and thinking, do I need that 5.5? Do I need that 6? What's going to be the situation? How are they all going to be coping with it? I think it's probably a lot of people might come spluttering over the line here, I think.
Just don't ask them for a fuel sample after the race.
No, I'm not, because that definitely won't come from the fuel tank.
You might get a few drops out of the hoses. You might get some. Oh, a little bit of grass now starting to get picked up. Like we said, Coleman's having a crack now. All over the rear end. Magri's going to come back under pressure. All of a sudden, Ben Jeffries refound another gear. He took a ton of time out of Dan Magri in the middle sectors on this lap. Now he's really attached to the right sim racing machine. And he got good drive off there. And he's forced Magri to cover. Magri's going to chuck it down the back straight. Cover him all the way to the white line. He wants the inside. Ben Jeffries should have pinned him there. Didn't. Open the corner back up. And now Dan Magri will be on the inside. Jeffrey tries to go around the outside. Still hangs around there. Picks up some grass. Job's not done. They're going to go too wide into the third last corner. Becomes the second last corner. Last corner's a right-hander. It's tricky to get in here. They're still side by side. Jeffrey hasn't got the job done. Neither's Magri, though. They're going to go toe-to-toe. Out the last corner, drag race to the start-finish line. Coleman senses an opportunity. What was a two-way stoush is now a three-way stoush. Coleman shows the nose, gives an opportunity to Campbell in behind him. Magri went deep. Now there's a hole appeared on the inside, and here comes Owen Coleman. But he's got poor drive. The rear tyres weren't in compliance, and Rain Campbell seizes the day.
Yeah, Rain Campbell got through there. Big opportunity move. There's going to be a collision. Oh. Ah! No. Coleman is struggling. Whatever Coleman's done over that last lap, he has put them tyres in a boiling zone. He's gone off again. That's going to put him under pressure from Jepson now. Magri's got a brief little moment of a break there as these guys battling away side by side, coming in through turn 4 and 5, and now on the run up into 6. We've now got a bit of a fractured group. We've got Coleman and Jepson and Magri, Jeffrey and Campbell. But some great action, but I'm just wondering how many of them used a little bit more than they needed to try and get any of their moves done.
Yeah, well, now Coleman's lost a spot trying to get one spot done. Nearly got two, lost one in the end. So, and now this is where Ben Jeffrey looks really, really strong. It's the run off of turn number 9, the run down to turn 10. We're only going to have another 4 laps after this one. And Vandenberg is putting daylight behind him. It's now a 6.5 second lead as he disappears up the road. And Magri may have to cover as they get further down this straight. No, Ben Jeffrey's not closing. Will he fire it out? Will he poke the nose out last minute? No, opts to stay in line. Campbell surging under brakes as well. He's got some good performance from his front end. Now he's starting to really come back to Ben Jeffrey.
Coleman's joined on the end
Jeffrey
as well.
Very good through the last corner.
Yeah, Coleman's joined on to the end as well. He's got a great run out of that last corner. He's come and tried to get involved once again. So Magri's opening up a little bit of daylight, and I say little because it's literally half a second, which isn't going to be very long beforehand. Again, that's Coleman slipping in the back a little bit. Be gentle, be gentle. Gotta be nice. But yeah, 7 minutes, 3 laps maybe. I'm interested.
No, we'll get 4. We will get 4. We will get the 4th lap in for sure.
I think we'll see who's got what and who's dealt with what while this race has gone on here, Scotty, because if they haven't, how many of these are going to be spluttering coming on to that last one?
Yeah, well, it's down to 3.5 laps now as they climb out of turn 6 up towards turn 7. I'll tell you what, Adam Jepson just set a purple sector as well in the middle of all that, so he's finding speed again. Coming back to these guys, and you can just see Coleman's looking for something. Magri was a little bit wide. Coleman did great exit. Here comes Campbell. Gets an opportunity. Forces Ben Jeffrey deep under brakes. Coleman has a go as well, but the rear doesn't comply as he gets down to turn 9.
Yeah, Coleman.
Opportunities running out.
He's just got no drive at the moment. He needs to calm them tyres down a little bit. Just back off and reduce the temperatures if he can. Just sit there for a minute, because at the moment them tyres on that Merc are running hot for Coleman, and he needs to be careful, especially with Jepson sitting in behind him. And he isn't going to, Jepson's going to take the opportunity if it presents itself, right? So for Coleman, although he's lost a few places, he needs to make sure that he at least tries to grab a top 5 here, because otherwise, if he doesn't get that, has he really had a successful day?
Don't say that. Don't say that. That might change the mindset of things. And consider championship standings as well. Because Coleman does lead the way from Dutch, and this will, you know, he just needs to have a good night. He doesn't even have a great night, and that'll lock everything up. Jepson's the next guy in terms of championship standings in behind them as well. So Jepson's close, but at the moment, he is still putting points over him. Ben Jeffrey continues to get closer to 10. Magri. And it just refuses to change. It just refuses to go away. These guys are still going toe-to-toe, and now it's Rain Campbell who's going to go on the old Porsche lawnmower tour.
These guys, I wouldn't expect any of them to disappear right now. They're locked in to following these cars, and they do a great job at it, but they've now got to decide how this is all going to work out. They needed to stay in line for a couple of laps to catch up that little 6/10 gap that they did open up, that Magri did get. He's now back in with the pack, so you've got to rely on Jeffrey trying to have a go at Magri. Campbell's then going to go and have a go as well. And Coleman at some point wants to stick that Merc's nose right into the action. How is this one going to work out for the next 4 minutes? Well, God only knows, because I can't even tell which way this is going to go.
And all of a sudden, Dan Magri looks like he's the man in the power position out of all of them yet again, because they just can't do anything about it. Again, Ben Jeffrey tries to get drive off of the 180-degree hairpin at turn 10. And he just can't get it. That Merc is just so supreme, the right sim racing machine in a straight line, and Ray Campbell is strong under brakes. So Campbell surges. I thought for sure Campbell was not going to get close enough. But the part where Campbell's weak is right here. Turn 13 and turn 14. It's the right-hander, although he's managed to maintain with Ben Jeffrey a lot more than he has on recent laps, but Ben's still just really, really quick off that last corner. And Jepson, although he's been able to show a turn of speed, cannot get closer. Something's happened to Provenzali. He's back in the pit lane and I think done.
I can't answer that question. All I've got is he's left the pit lane, he entered the pit lane, and he's had no other dramas apart from the ones that we've seen.
Anyway, that's something that happened at some stage that we just haven't been able to keep half an eye on. 2 laps left to run now for Lee Vandenberg. And he's just ran a 58.3, so now he's gone and stolen the fastest lap of the race. Somebody else just went to the lane. It was Stefan Mellis in, yeah.
Oh, he's going. Oh, is he going to get it though for Jeffrey? As they're running side by side now through turn 6. Jeffrey's got the inside. Is he going to muscle him out? Can Rain Campbell follow in as well? Magri's going to have the inside now for turn 7. Then it switches back the other way to Jeffrey.
Oh!
They're still running side by side, Scotty. All the way down to turn 9. It's a left-hander. Magri's going to have the inside as well. Campbell's now trying to bully him off. Can he hold that outside line? They can't as he go to 10, and after that brief little 4-corner battle, we're back in line once more.
Oh, I don't think they're going to stay in line, though, because Jeffrey's now going to try and go to the outside. The difficulty they've got here is that if Rain Campbell stays to Ben Jeffrey's inside, he is supreme on the anchors when they get down here to turn number 11. Well, white flag will be in the air when they get back to the start-finish line. There is just under 2 minutes left in this race, and that means there will not be enough time for 2 laps. And now Campbell gets to the inside. Jeffrey's there. They just tag. They just get away with it as well, but that was Campbell's opportunity. That's been his best corner throughout the race. Now Daniel Magri gets that reprieve once again, but again now Campbell is closer to Ben Jeffrey than he has been. Could there be an opportunity? If he's strong under brakes, you think it's maybe at turn 3 will be his best opportunity. He might not wait that long. He might pull the trigger right now. It's got a supreme shaft. Here comes Rain Campbell looking for a podium at turn 1. Gets down the inside. It's tight. It switches back. Just barely doesn't make contact with Ben Jeffrey. That was brave from Jeffrey. That was a lot of trust he put in Rain Campbell, and he's still got the place out the other side.
Yeah, he had to hold on to it there as well. Coleman's now coming in there. Jeffrey cut his nose off over Campbell, and that is it. I think now it's going to be Vandenberg. Coleman's off the side of the circuit. Jepson's now cleared him as well. Then Merc tyres are done in that Mercedes, and he is off, and now he's lost places as Coleman. He's down 4 places from where he started. Magri is thankful that they've gone and battled there right at that moment in time, because that's cleared the way as they're coming through the final little section now here before they go on to that long straightaway, and that's cleared Magri a little bit. The difference is what are these two guys going to do? Are they going to battle it in for the rest of this lap, or are they going to sit there until they can get at least Magri for a little bit from 10 to 11, because that's the last opportunity. Yep, time is running out.
Time is running out. And Lee Vandenberg's just come off a turn 10. He's got the compacts at 11, 12, 13, and 14. There is a comfortable margin now for Lee Vandenberg, but you dare not take your eyes off this one. Campbell got good drive. Ben Jeffrey didn't. Jeffrey didn't cover him. Here comes Rain Campbell, who thinks I'm going to nick a podium at the last. There's going to be 4 more corners left in this motor race. Rain Campbell's not sat on the podium at any stage today. He's right about to, with a couple corners left to go. Deep at 11, too deep at 11, runs wide at 11. Just barely got Jeffries around. Oh, no. No, it's going to be Dan Magri who comes across the line. I wonder, Campbell might pull over. He might pull over and try and redress this one. No, he's not going to. It's going to be Rain Campbell who crosses the line in third. He won't stay there. And Adam Jepson will finish on the podium unofficially. Unofficially.
Oh, man. He cleared him once, and then unfortunately they made contact again. And this was the initial part of this, and then they go on from there into this one. He got it through. He goes in deep. He comes back the other way, and he's on the grass. He's trying to steer off the grass, and unfortunately,
it was a grand stoush until then. It was a supreme stoush.
It was epic, but you can see he just goes in deep, and then he's trying to. Hold on.
He's still catching the car. He's still catching the car.
Yeah, but it is very difficult. He goes in deep, runs out onto the grass, trying to steer, and then moves on from there.
You'll get done with the penalty. You got whacked over the wrist with the penalty. I have no doubt about that.
I would have thought so, to be blatantly honest, but yeah. Definitely a great race though, coming towards the end.
Yeah, brilliant. Bakia's going to cross the line down at the end. I think he's going to be the last car to cross the start-finish line, and well, to Jimmy Middleton, I can tell you, if you would have been out there and turning laps, you would have beaten Ricky Provenzali. So that's a shame you couldn't have been, but you can chalk that one up. I would have chalked it up and said, yeah, would have beaten him tonight. Absolutely, if I was there. Lee Vandenberger on debut in the series ends up with a 9-second advantage. Until they started squabbling, it was only 5 seconds. Daniel Magri is going to come home in second, and Race Control have just come through and said there's a 10-second post-race penalty for Rain Campbell. And he will step back down behind Ben Jeffrey, so that'll escalate everyone up 1 spot. So it'll be Adam Jepson who will finish in third, Owen Coleman in fourth, Ben Jeffrey in fifth, and Rain Campbell in sixth. Andrew Dutch comes home in seventh, and a distant seventh at that. Martin Hallinan and Mark Foster, Eli Donaldson, Stefan Mellis, and Robert Edwards, Ronald Long, Matt Bakia. Final car on the lead lap was Bakia's Simon Smith, finishes just off the lead lap, and not finishing was Ricky Provenzali, only retirement.
Yeah, I think that's such a bitter pill to swallow, isn't it? Because he done so well, and literally just couldn't get the pit lane entry right, which then gave him a penalty, which then forced him to push harder, which then knew he had to come in for a second stop, and it just went poof.
Does that, doesn't it? Yeah.
That was it, really.
Difficult. Yeah. That was difficult. That was, I mean, you know, the difficulty in endurance racing, isn't it, JP, that you sit there and you wait for a fair while, and then all of a sudden it explodes and it becomes something bigger. You know, you sort of sit there and wait a very, very long time, and you're looking for where everyone's trying to go, and yeah. But whilst we wait for the drivers to jump down and look to say hello to us, we will say a big shout out to all the sponsors that make it possible for the Premier Endurance Racing League. Big shout out to the prime sponsor, which is Gamer Gear Direct, the sim racing experts. If you need your sim gear, get in to see Blake and the team at Gamer Gear Direct. I've just scrolled past the sponsors. I just had them 2 minutes ago, and something's just bugged out on my side. So my apologies, ladies and gents.
You
As I try to get them back.
Sunspeed gloves, haven't you?
Sunspeed. Yeah, Sunspeed, and I can say that my lap times, and indeed I'm enjoying my racing. My hands are a lot more comfortable after wearing my Sunspeed gloves. A big shout out to Richard Mayer for supplying me with some. If you need to get your newest pair, indeed, their latest designs have just launched. Getting to see the team from Sunspeed, and finally, big shout out to Print Racer as well. I know that Simon's been looking into doing a few different bits and pieces. He's just now doing track designs up to, if you want something featured on your sim racing, or you want a piece to make sure that your sim that doesn't quite fit together, you got a piece that doesn't just about fit on your rig. Well, 3D printing's how to fix that. Simon Larder's got some practice and assistance to get you sorted in that range of things. So see the team at Print Racer to get your sim racing bits and pieces sorted. In the meantime, though, we do have a podium to chat to. We're going to chat to tonight's race winner. First time in the series. It's been a long time since I've seen you in the sim, Lee. And I tell you what, it's good to see you back and peddling that McLaren, brother.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Yeah, long time between drinks. I've only really just set this thing back up with a few house renos and life just generally getting in the way. But yeah, good to be back and had a bit of fun.
Was there any concerns about the fuel numbers there at any stage tonight? We were talking about the lap times. I know it's quite critical. If effectively you take that pit stop away, we would have done 31 laps. And I think that's where everyone was in a hole, is if you go green flag, you take out the pit stop and the transition down pit lane, all of a sudden a second stop becomes necessary. Were you monitoring that throughout the race?
I wasn't sweating from the drive, and it was just trying to do numbers in my head, really. But I come down to probably about 25 seconds at the end there. Like if I was, say, 25 seconds further up the road, it would have been another lap, and I would have been dead in the water.
I suppose that's the difficulty. I mean, the driving stuff, it all sort of comes back. It's nearly like riding a bicycle, but the mathematics and dealing with the fuel strategy, that takes a little bit longer to get back into, man. In terms of how much practice you got involved for this one, how long's the sim been set back up since everything's come together?
Oh, I set it up a few months ago, but yeah, just Renault-wise, I think Daytona's the last time I've done a practice or a bit of racing, kind of, a proper hit out sort of thing. So yeah, very rusty on the race and stuff. So I was a bit fully aware coming in a bit late to the series. I was just going to make sure I was out of everyone's way and that sort of thing, and yeah, not trip over anyone or trip anyone up.
It's a lot easier to be out of everyone's way when you're 9 seconds down the road.
I was going to say the same thing. It's easier not to trip over anybody when you're so far out in front, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but yeah, it wasn't. I said it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't all this easy sailing kind of thing. I didn't know the guys behind. Owen punched an extra lap out at the start, so I'm like, oh, might be one shy here. So I was saving pretty hard at the end, but I suppose being a bit new to the series and that sort of thing, I didn't really know these guys are gonna fly past me if I cop an extra lap, sort of thing. So, and I don't have that much mental capacity after driving to do the sums.
Mate, congratulations here tonight. Pleasure to see you back in the sim, Lee Vandenberg, and pleasure to go back in and on top, mate. I get the feeling we'll see you again in the near future, mate. Is there anyone you want to thank for tonight's racing?
Well, thank all the guys at the Premier Endurance League for helping me get organised and set up and that sort of thing. All the boys at HCS, and just you guys for doing the broadcast, and yeah, it's good to be back and have a bit of fun.
Mate, pleasure. Like I said, looking forward to see you again in the future, mate, and we will see you again, I'm sure.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
And you.
Well, that's Lee Vandenberg, and we do have one more person to have a quick chat to tonight. It's going to be the guy who finished in second place. I tell you what, those GT3 things, Jan Magri, they're a little bit tricky. It's just GT4 stuff. That's where your skill set lies.
Yeah, I can't explain it, but yeah, definitely relatively quicker in the GT4 than the GT3. So yeah, more nappy in this series.
In terms of things there tonight, was there a little bit of a stress factor going on in terms of fuel? Because there was a little bit of debate up and down the pit lane. It was tight. We were 30 seconds off getting an extra lap. That's how tight it was really at the tail end of that one. Were you crunching the numbers? Did you think you were in a little bit of a fuel hole?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I crossed the line with 3/10 of a litre left. So yes, constantly calculating, and yeah, it makes it hard to drive because you're trying to focus on your where you're driving, and at the same time you're calculating fuel, and definitely made a lot of mistakes as a result. It helped that the match was relatively easy. It was roughly a 2-minute lap. I reckon if it was an odd number, it would have been a lot harder.
In terms of things there tonight, that squabble there at the end, how's the face? Are you still trying to suck some oxygen back down? Because it was coming at you thick and fast. It was nearly you make a mistake, Ben Jeffrey all of a sudden gets alongside you, Owen Coleman shows the nose, Rain Campbell shows the nose, just constantly back and forth. That looked like a lot of fun.
Oh, for sure. I definitely didn't have the pure pace. There looks like about 4 or 5 behind me that were probably faster than me, and I was just holding on to track position. And yeah, and again in those battles, already having lost my drop around, missing a race, I couldn't afford to get rotated from the championship point of view. So it's a tough one of fighting for position while also you can't afford to be spun. And there was definitely one time there where I had to back out of it. But second, I'll take that any day.
In terms of things, mate, there's one round left now in the championship. We've been through, they've been tough, they've been tricky, but the final one, it's a little bit easier. It is a longer lap yet again. It's going to be at Spa-Francorchamps. And, mate, that's a long lap in a GT4. It's not easy following it in trains like that, but the straights are a fair bit longer. The ability to draft, you looked pretty trimmed out in terms of the wing capabilities there tonight. I get the feeling the setup's going to be much the same heading into Spa.
Yeah, I hope so. But yeah, if you thought the fuel's going to be tricky on this one, the next one will be even harder. It'll be interesting. I have no idea where the championship position is, just with drop rounds and all that. But yeah, I'm definitely in the mix, and see how it goes.
Yeah, well, you were sitting 5th coming into tonight. The guy ahead of you was Sam Chapman, and he's not in attendance, so you take home a bank of points here tonight, mate. And that will see you move up. But all the other guys that are in and around you, in attendance, having reasonable nights, mate. So big opportunity at Spa coming to the last round. Who are the guys you'd like to thank, Dan?
I'll start off with you guys at the broadcasting team put on the show. I unfortunately admitted that one last time. Also the guys at Premier Endurance League for putting together the league, always well run. And then team sponsors, so we've got Bliss Homes, Cardiff X, and Print Racer. Also, a shout out to the guys at SSBBD and anyone watching at home.
Mate, big thank you for jumping in yet again and saying hello. Congratulations on 2nd place. I guarantee you're absolutely stoked with that, mate. Enjoy the rest of the night.
Thank you. Cheers.
Righto, JP, that's just about going to wrap us up in terms of things here this evening. And yeah, look, I mean, it's going to be a little bit of a break now through to the next round of GT4, all the way through to the 26th of May. So just under a month away. But in terms of GT3 action, 5th of May, that's next weekend. We're back here at Motegi.
Yeah, I'm going to be very interested to see how the GT3s handle this. I think this is just on the cusp of whether or not this circuit is a little bit tricky for a GT3, that stop-start motion, that flowy kind of thing. They've got a little bit more power than the GT4s. I think it could be an exciting one, Scotty. I think it could be an exciting one.
Well, there might even be a waft of rain in the air. If you want to know if there will be some more wet racing going on, last time at Zolder certainly had it. Could the GT3 racing action from Motegi Mobility Resort Motegi have any of that? You will have to find out next weekend on the 5th of May. This has been another Premier Endurance Racing League. On behalf of us, the broadcast team, the league, and the sponsors, big shout out again to Gamer Gear Direct, Print Racer, and Sudspeed. Cannot do what we do without those guys. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you again next weekend for another Endurance Racing Epic.
Jungle.